This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Collect the build.
Matt Hill, Start 9, Colorado, USA.
Twitch Plays Pokemon was a collaborative game where Twitch users controlled a Pokemon game by entering commands in the chat. In Anarchy mode, all commands are executed immediately, causing chaotic gameplay. Democracy mode, where the most voted command executed every 4 seconds, was more efficient but allowed groups to dominate. To protest democracy mode, users typed Start 9, which repeatedly opened the Start menu, disrupting gameplay until the game reverted to anarchy. Start 9 became a symbol of resistance, ensuring individual influence remained significant. When playing the game, did you type Start 9 a lot?
No.
It's common to pair cigars with certain drinks to enhance the experience. Do you often pair your cigars with specific beverages like whiskey or coffee?
Yes.
Do you own any shoes other than a white pair of Under Armour?
Yes.
You're not only a Bitcoin stacker, but also great at stacking ribeye. Grilling a ribeye to perfection can be an art of form. Do you consider yourself a grill master when it comes to cooking ribeye steaks?
No.
Is it true that your child could put together a 500-piece puzzle without help while reciting one of her favorite books from memory when she was only 26 months old?
No.
The Super Bowl is one of the biggest sporting events in the world, known for its thrilling games and entertaining halftime shows. Have you ever attended a Super Bowl game in person?
No.
Will there be a Start 9 version 1 release anytime soon?
Yes.
Is it true that you clean your gym equipment before you start training instead of after?
Yes.
We were told that you've inherited a family bakery and owned it for roughly 2 years before you decided to sell the business. Bakeries are known for specializing in certain types of baked goods, whether it's bread, pastries, or cakes. Did your family bakery have a particular specialty?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
Yes.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 116 of Connected World, and this show is made possible by our friends from BL3P and BRINGIN. Thank you guys for helping us out with our mission, and if you also want to help us out, because our mission is to connect everybody with Bitcoin through the Lightning Network, of course you want that, then head over to our Telegram group where you can ask us anything, or head over to our YouTube channel and you can there subscribe, of course, and you can also make a donation.
世界をつなぐ
Welcome, Matt. Good to have you on the show,
Hey, thanks,
man.
Welcome.
guys. That was a fun
Yeah.
set of
Good
questions.
to have
Yeah.
you. Yeah, there were
Those
some
questions.
There were some
really.
tricky
Yeah.
ones. Let's start with the specialty of the family bakery, Matt. What can you tell us?
Bagels. It was a bagel bakery primarily, yeah.
Bagels.
Primarily.
Primarily.
Okay, so bagels isn't a big thing here in Holland. I know it is in overseas and other places around the globe, but was it only bagels then,
No,
or
we did bread and pastries and cakes and brownies and all the rest, but it was all ancillary. The primary breadwinner, so to speak, was bagels. It was a bagel bakery.
Yeah.
The store was called The Bagel Store, and the sign just said bagels. But we sold
great
other baked goods as well.
Yeah. And you had the business for around 2 years.
Well, my father opened the business
Why
in
did you decide?
1978, and we didn't sell it until, I want to say, 2015 or 2013. So I was only owner-operator for a couple of years post-college education. But I grew up in that bakery. I grew up working as a small child, learning how to, bake bagels and bread, and also help customers and count back change. And so I grew up in a small business setting, and I was working quite a bit.
Yeah, cool. And
Yeah, a bakery is really a lot of work, right?
It's a lot of
Middle
work.
the
Especially
night.
the type of bakery that we had. It was not automated. It was all handmade. So, we were hand rolling bagels and bread and giant ovens, and we didn't have air conditioning because that
Great,
actually
man.
hurts. Learned
Did you also learn something from that that you refer to the Start 9 project you later on started?
Absolutely. I learned a lot from growing up in a small business, especially the nature of it. I mean, it was a award-winning business. It won best bagels, best bread in Colorado year after year after year. People loved my father. He was a really good businessman, always did right by his customers, always did right by his employees. He was just a great small business owner.
Cool.
Matt, what's the story behind the Under Armour shoes? Because Steph saw it, and I think, maybe there are a lot of tweets or images that you are wearing those. I don't know.
Those particular shoes, I think I bought 5 or 6 pairs when I found them, but not because they're Under Armour. It's because they're white. I am a white shoe fanatic. I think it's very important for a person to own a pair of pristine white shoes with absolutely no scuffs or signs of wear. So as soon as they start to scuff or wear, I move them down the chain and they become my gardening shoes, so to speak. And then the next white pair step in. And so I always have a fresh pair of whites. They don't need to be Under Armours. I look for deals. Sometimes I'll look at the clearance stores, and if I find a good pair of whites at a deal, I'll buy 5 pairs of them. And so oftentimes you'll see me in the same shoes for months on end.
And if they fit perfectly,
exactly.
I mean, then it's perfect, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
so it's the white shoes. That's the
right. And I also have other shoes for working out or going out at night. But I always have a pair of whites, and that's what I wear most of the time.
So you're wearing them now, or
right now I'm barefoot.
Okay.
Me too, man. High five.
It's too hot now. Yeah.
And you're also a cigar enthusiast, I would say. I mean, I saw you smoking a couple of cigars on photos, and you said you often pair with specific beverages. Which beverage is your favorite to pair it?
I love scotches and bourbons. And I will often alternate between the two, just depending on how I'm feeling. But I love a good cigar with a good scotch. I don't do it very often. I don't smoke cigars daily. I'll usually have one per week or so is about my cadence. But it's the time I really look forward to. I didn't get it for many years. I didn't understand the old stereotype of a man, drinking scotch and smoking a cigar. And I understood why someone might drink. I never quite understood why someone would smoke a cigar other than to look cool. But it wasn't until really the past couple years of my life that I understood that combination as a very enjoyable activity, because you are getting the nicotine. It's just not an injection to the lungs. It's more of like a slow drip time released because it's absorbing into your gums, right? You're not breathing it in, but you're sort of bathing in it. And so over the course of an hour, slow sipping some scotch and slow smoking a cigar, it brings on a very sustainable multi-hour state of relaxation. I'm a very stressed person in my job and career with Start 9. And so I really look forward to that time. It's almost meditative.
Well, here in Holland, we smoke different things to relax one another.
That happens in America as well. I don't though. I used to. I can't anymore. Something changed. My chemistry changed.
It is interesting because I also photograph weddings, and the groom. I've had it. I think 2 or 3 times that the groom is having a cigar with his friends with whiskey, and I mean, it seems relaxing, like a relaxing moment on a very stressful day, also.
Yeah.
But doing that with your friends and just having the combination, I can imagine. I don't smoke, but I can imagine that it is relaxing. And of course, I made great pictures of all the smoke.
And it's a hobby too, because there's very subtle nuance between different types of cigars, as there is with whiskeys and wines. So you can start to learn and treat it as a hobby. It's not just an activity. You start to take pride in your ability to distinguish between different subtleties.
Yeah. That's also with we had a teacher with who smoked pipes, and the pipes, and it smelled well. Even if it wasn't on, it smelled great. Yeah, all those different.
Yeah, it's funny. I can certainly grasp the hobby thing, because I'm also a big wine lover. I also like to drink whiskey. I'm not a real expert on it, but I can certainly tell what you say, that you just, it's like, also for me, it's like when I like something, I really go deep dive. It's the same like with Bitcoin, obviously. That but the thing is that the Bitcoin rabbit hole is way, it's like the biggest rabbit hole I've ever fallen into. So but it's the same like whiskey or good wines, the more nuance, time you spend, the more you learn
Coffee
about
also.
it. Yeah, and the more you get enthusiastic about it. So so that's great, man. Hey, and but Matt, please explain to me what was like the moment that you, what's your background other than what did you do between Start 9 and the bakery? Because that's a long period of time, obviously. But what eventually brought you to start 9?
It could take a couple of minutes. I did.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So after the bakery, and all the way up until Start 9, there was a few major things that I did, but I was always a hustler. So I was waiting tables at times. I was driving for Uber at times. I did private tutoring. I had a fairly large practice for private tutoring. I was tutoring high school and college students in just about anything. I was building fences. I was a high school track and field coach for 7 years. I did private training, athletic private training. I did some accounting, like doing books for individuals and small businesses. So I basically just made money any way that I could at any given moment, all in an effort to continue learning, continue growing, and buying time for myself so that I could really settle into something that I loved, as opposed to rushing off to a career just to pay bills. So I paid bills always doing side jobs as opposed to a main job, so that my main day could be free to focus on something big. And the few big things that I did were, number one, I started a plastics recycling business with my brother. And we started by going around Colorado and picking up what most businesses considered to be trash, namely plastic laying around in their scrapyard. And I started piling all this trash essentially onto a rental truck and shipping it off to a recycler in Oregon. And we got so good at this essentially brokering, collecting plastics of particular varieties. We were on the lookout for certain types of plastics that we ended up sending 4 semi-trucks a week, approximately 150,000 pounds of plastic per week from Colorado to Oregon. And it was so much material, and we were making a cut on it because we were either buying or taking for free the plastic in Colorado, bundling it up, putting it on semi-trucks, shipping it to Oregon, and selling it to the plastics recycler. That recycler decided that it no longer made sense for us to do this, made an investment, and opened up a recycling facility in Colorado, of which I was the lead operations manager. So it was my facility to run. My brother was our lead sales and procurement expert. So he was out there buying and selling the plastics. I was running the facility, which was a very large, I don't know meters very well, but it was a 70,000 square foot manufacturing facility with heavy equipment that could eat big cars, massive machinery. And I was running the whole facility. I hired the crew. I helped assemble the lines that would recycle the plastics. And did that for a few years. And we became the largest recycler of plastics in Colorado and the surrounding states, as a matter of fact. And Eventually, my brother and I had a bit of a falling out. We also had a falling out with the investors from Oregon. And so due to business and political differences, in strategic direction and personality clashes, we kind of all went our separate ways. The investors kind of tucked and left town. I and my brother kind of shook hands and decided to go our separate ways because we weren't making very good business partners. And he stuck with it. He spun off a different plastics recycling company, actually bought the equipment from the previous company that we had started together as part of the liquidation, and is now the largest plastics recycler, one of the largest plastics recyclers in the United States. So my brother has flourished with that business that I helped him start. And I loved it. It was a great business, plastics recycling. It's very nuanced. There's a ton of stuff people don't understand about plastic and plastics recycling. I know a lot. I was doing the chemistry as well as the industrial recycling behind it. So really cool business, but I got out of that and again went back to hustling while I figured out what I wanted to do next. I decided that I wanted to build a mobile app. I had an idea for a mobile app that was also a network. It was essentially a work shift trading idea that would enable businesses and individuals to kind of Uberize their workforce, right? It was Uber, but in a generic sense for all industries and all places where people could build their own on-demand freelance labor workforces. And I had this idea and, I put together a business plan. I even started raising some money and I was trying to find a technical co-founder, right? A software developer who could help me bring it to market, at least the prototype. And that process of searching for and working with a technical co-founder and being the business and really gave me an appreciation for the software engineering side of things. And so I decided that I didn't want to partner. And instead, I locked myself in a room and taught myself to code over the course of about 8 months while building the prototype for the application that I wanted to launch. So I basically closed the door and did it myself. And
crazy.
Made every mistake that you can make along the way. And 8 months later, had a working prototype, front end, back end, mobile for iOS and Android. I did the whole thing myself, and with great pain. This was when I had first met my now wife, and she was basically keeping me alive while I just banged my head against the wall for 8 months straight, trying to figure out a whole new way of thinking. And but I did it. And then I launched it and it's still alive and well. It's got about 7,000 users. It's used by a couple large businesses like Southwest Airlines is a big airline company in the United States that uses my app. And it's still live and it runs itself. And, I don't charge for it. It's just something that I built and I'm proud of. And, I pay the hosting fees every month just to keep it alive. Maybe someday I'll sell it. Maybe someday I'll close it down. I don't know. I don't really have a plan for it. I don't have time for it right now. But it's really well built, given the multiple iterations that I did after that initial 8 months. And it's got a bunch of 5-star ratings on iOS and Android. It's called Work Blast. It's a really cool app that allows people to trade shifts with each other in a very streamlined fashion. But anyway, as a business, that failed. That was not going to pay my bills. I failed to raise significant funds in order to hire a team. I tried, I failed. Now it's just an app. But I learned a lot from that experience. And I knew that I wanted to continue my career in the software engineering line. Like I love it. I love programming. I really do. And I've been doing it now for almost 10 years and I love it. And I also during that time discovered Bitcoin. So I was really looking for a way to merge these two. I wanted to code in the Bitcoin world. And there was a company in Colorado that was starting up at that time in late 16, early 17, called SALT, stands for Secure Automated Lending Technology. And their idea was to take Bitcoin as collateral in order to provide fiat loans to customers. Customers would pay the loans back on a monthly basis. And if they ever failed to make a payment, then we would, shave off some of their collateral and make the payment on their behalf. This involved monitoring the price of Bitcoin, issuing margin calls, and all the rest. So this company that was starting up really just had an idea And none of the co-founders were software engineers. All of the co-founders were, one was a lawyer, one was a restaurant manager. They really had no business building the kind of company that they were building, but this was right in the beginning of the ICO boom. And so they were able to issue some shitcoin token they created in order to raise a bunch of money, but really had no idea how to build the kind of platform or business that they were selling. And so I met the guy at a libertarian meetup in Denver, and the then CEO. And I asked him, I said, well, tell me about your progress. How far along are you? And he said, well, we have a website and an idea and some money. And I said, okay, you need me. I'm well-rounded. Not only can I program, but I know how to build teams. I understand the business you're building. I understand Bitcoin insofar as I could at the time. And so I said, hire me and I will get the ball rolling on your product. I will help build an engineering team, a product team, and start architecting the platform. And he gave me a shot. I must have talked really well. He gave me a shot. And I went in and over the course of the next 2 years, built out a 15-person engineering team, designed from scratch, along with help, the entire lending platform. And we did it right, by the way. We were doing multi-sig, no rehypothecation. We had very sophisticated infrastructure to monitor the price of Bitcoin against the collateral, against loan payments, and make sure that the lending product was solid. We built a really, really nice product and piece of technology.
So no BlockFi or Celsius.
No, well, at the time, so it's funny, in 2019, I was supposed to debate Zach and who was the Celsius scumbag?
Yeah, forgot his name.
I forgot his name too. This shows how memorable he was. I was supposed to debate them at Consensus in 2019 with Peter McCormick hosting. And just before Consensus 2019, the Salt CEO and I, by which time I was CTO, so I was sort of second most powerful in the company and was really running the business on a daily basis. But the CEO and I we did not get along at all. I mean, he was primarily interested in giving legitimacy to the Salt token because he didn't want to get fined by the SEC and he didn't want to go to jail. And so him and the other founders were very intent on basically maintaining their scam coin that they had used to raise money. And I was very intent on building a Bitcoin-backed lending product and company. And so the tension just grew and grew and grew until I basically gave him the middle finger. He did it right back and we went our separate ways. And so he actually took my place at that debate and got destroyed it was Alex Mashinsky was his name.
Alex Mashinsky.
And Zach. And got destroyed by these guys on stage because he had no idea how to debate and he had no idea what even the company he was working on. But anyway, I quit and I took with me the majority of, or at least the heart of, the engineering team that I had built over the course of those 2 years. And that engineering team went on to become Start9. So Salt was the incubator for Start9.
And you brought the engineers with you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I brought them with me. It's that it was my team, right? They were at Salt because of me, not because of Salt. So I left and they were like, well, let's go. And we left and we didn't know what we were going to do. I just knew that the people who left with me were the best people I had ever worked with, the smartest, the most hardworking, the most principled people I had ever worked with. And so I said, if we go lock ourselves in a room for enough time, we're going to come out with something really special. And what came out of that room...
This is a great bridge.
It's a great bridge.
Yeah, this is great.
From a family bakery to recycling plastics to Start9. I mean, what a background, Matt. And good. Well, again, good to have you on the show. But we really want to talk about Start9. Right. It has to be in the 21 minutes.
Okay.
So if you are ready,
And
Matt,
this
we
is
would.
perfect beginning. So
We would
I'm
really
ready.
yeah, it's the history. So let's start with start 9. Let's do it, Eddie.
all right. The 21 Minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. So Start9, yeah. What is the vision behind Start9's products, and how do you empower individuals to regain control over their digital lives? Because that's, I think, what you're trying to do.
Yeah, the essential concept that we strive for is called disintermediation. Our goal and mission is to eliminate trusted third parties and intermediaries from computers in general, from the entire computing experience. Whereas right now, almost everything you do on a computer is intermediated and custodied and permissioned, and it's not necessary. That is not a necessary aspect of computing. It's just one that has emerged primarily for the sake of convenience and control. Convenience on the part of the user and control on the part of the incumbent powers.
Yeah, and but how does Start9 ensure that users have full control over their data then and communications? Because that's the tricky part of which you already elaborated just now. But how do you ensure that they have full control?
By accepting the fact that a server and servers are a necessary aspect of any scalable computing paradigm, and by trying to give individuals, families, and small businesses control over the servers as opposed to using somebody else's servers. So primarily, Start9 is the creator of a new kind of operating system, namely a server OS, an operating system that is purpose-built to enable the operation of a personal server. Previously, if you wanted to run a personal server for yourself, for your family, or for your business, you would need to be what we call a systems administrator, somebody that has the skill set and experience to set up and administer a server, which means using the Linux command line. That is the primary way that someone would do this. There are other ways, but by and large, that is the way that someone sets up and administers a server, is the Linux command line. And that is off limits to 99.99% of the human race. So what we did was we took the entire experience of being a systems administrator and using the Linux command line, and we diluted it down and codified it into a graphical interface, thus enabling a normal computer literate person to own and operate a personal server. And once they're owning and operating the personal server, they can use it instead of third-party servers like iCloud, Google Workspace, Snapchat, WhatsApp, even things like Signal are no longer necessary.
Yeah, so setting up self-hosted services that are complex normally is now simple for non-technical users, right? And you're starting to explain also the concept of sovereign computing. Why is it super critical to self-host and be sovereign when using a computer? What is Start9's role in that for the future for non-technical users?
Well, it's important because every time you open your phone or your laptop or your desktop, right? These are all remote controls. It is very proper to think about your computers, your mobile and non-mobile devices. It's proper to think about them as remote controls. Maybe not for everything, but most things that you do on your phone and laptop are remotely controlling a server somewhere else, right? You log in, you click buttons, you retrieve data. This is just you using a remote control to access your own data and process your own information through someone else's computer. And when you use someone else's computer, there are costs and consequences to that, just like when you use somebody else's anything, right? And some of them, there's 4 in particular, and they're very easy to enumerate. One of them is invasion of privacy. When you use somebody else's computer to conduct your business, they can see everything that you're doing. They can surveil it, record it, and give it away or sell it to anyone they please. And in fact, the laws support this right. It's not like what they're doing is shady or illegal. It's very much their business model intentionally. Number two is censorship. When everyone is using somebody else's computer to communicate, the person who runs that computer, that server, can make the decision about what people see and what they don't see. And this is not just deplatforming. This is about algorithmic amplification of certain messages and algorithmic suppression of other messages. And so you don't even realize the censorship is happening because it can be done subtly and under the hood. However, more and more people are realizing that it's happening. This is not hidden anymore. Number three is cost. When you use somebody else's computer or server for your needs, they're going to charge you. If they're not charging you directly in the form of a monthly subscription, then they are monetizing your data. It's one or the other. And in many cases, it's both. And we're starting to see, this is probably a good thing, an increase in direct monetary cost for these services because they're struggling to monetize your data in the same way that they used to. And so instead, they're charging monthly subscriptions. And we think this is a good thing, not only because they're not monetizing the data as much, but because it brings the cost, makes the cost more observable, more tangible. And the last problem is that when everybody is using the same third party for their computing needs, that third party is now privy to and it takes custody of everyone's data, making it a very attractive target for attackers. It's like everybody putting their money into one vault. That vault becomes a very attractive target. Whereas if you were storing your money in your own vault, nobody would attack it. One, because they don't know you have the vault in the first place. Number two is that they don't know how much money you have in there. And number three is it's just not worth the effort. Like they might risk their life and liberty to break into your house and try to steal who knows how much money out of your vault. It's just not worth it. Well, data is even less valuable than a vault full of money. So nobody is going to break into your house and take your server because it's just not worth the risk. It's not worth the effort. You alone do not have data that is valuable enough to do. And so when you're using a Google server, you're actually way more at risk because Google servers are being attacked day and night, and they will eventually be hacked again and again and again because hacking happens through people, through social engineering. There's always a person with the keys. All you have to do is blackmail them, bribe them, or threaten them, and you get the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. So that's the problem with the current model. And our model is that instead of everyone using one giant server in the middle of the room with all those problems, we take that giant server, we shatter it into 3 billion pieces, we put one in every home and business, and you have a decentralized model of computing that is sustainable and dignified for humanity's information age.
Yeah, and how does Start9 handle decentralized identity? Because the big tech is centralizing identity management. You guys are decentralizing identity management, ensuring that users can verify their identities and reputations without relying on centralized entities. So how do you guys handle this?
You cut out for the second half of your question. I heard up until decentralized identity management.
Okay, excuse me. I said, how does Start9 handle decentralized identity management?
So the good news for us is that we don't actually have to solve every use case of computers. Our job is to build a new infrastructure, right, for sovereign computing. What you do on your computer and on your server, so on your phone, your laptop, and the server that's running StartOS, is not up to us. In fact, we don't even want to have a say. So if there is some, decentralized identity protocol and network and program that you can install that will then carry with you throughout all your computing activities, well, then you can install that and do it. In fact, we have one. It's called Nostr. Nostr is a wonderful decentralized identity protocol. And you can run your own Nostr relay on StartOS, and you can even run your own Nostr client on StartOS so that you can self-host the web app through which you communicate with the Nostr network, essentially making you unstoppable within that network, is all already available on StartOS. Just like you can host a Bitcoin node on StartOS and join that network. So we put decentralized identity into the same category as pretty much anything else you'd want to do in the digital realm or on a computer. in that it's not our problem. We keep an eye on things because we like to understand the trends in computing and what is needed. And we want to make sure that the best and most desired software programs, applications, nodes, and services are available for StartOS. But we ourselves, as a company and as a team, do not build software applications. We build an operating system so that other people can build software applications and distribute them.
It's interesting that you came up with the Bitcoin node, running it on Start9, because of course you emphasized earlier talks also the importance of running an own Lightning node or Bitcoin node. I was also wondering, because there has been a rise in Lightning service providers, LSPs, to improve user experience for Lightning nodes, also for non-technical users or mobile devices. Make it easier. What are the potential risks of relying on LSPs, Lightning Service Providers, and how does Start9 address these risks? Is it safer to run a Lightning node, for example, on Start9 than on your own computer, or having that at some data center or something, or a company that sells it?
Safer is an interesting word because it really depends on your threat model and how you're looking at these things. Complete sovereignty, I'll call it, not safest, but total sovereignty, where nobody can tell you no. Not only can nobody tell you no, but nobody can even interfere with you. Like, you are untouchable. The only way to achieve that is to run your own node, your own Bitcoin node and your own Lightning node, and to access them from either private web interfaces served by your server or from mobile applications that are connected to your own node. That is full sovereignty. Everything else has a trade-off. Now, the trade-off there is that it requires some effort, right? Running your own Bitcoin node is pretty straightforward, not much trade-off there, but running your own Lightning node can be a little bit more difficult, which is why we've seen the rise of not only LSPs that are doing these non-custodial but intermediated solutions, but also full custody, right? We are seeing a rise in custodial Lightning, where people are just not even holding their keys anymore. So convenience matters. And we think that, for me, the inconvenience, the added effort of running a Lightning node is well worth it, versus using, a light node on my phone that relies on an LSP for liquidity and just-in-time channel funding, because I don't like the intermediation. For me, it's not just about holding your own keys. It's about running your own node. It's not just about custody. It's about access. What good is money if you can't spend it? What good is a product if you can't sell it, right? The rails, the payment rails have to be censorship resistant as well. And if you are using a light node on your phone that is relying on an LSP to do just-in-time channel creation, you are running an intermediated solution on Lightning. You are not totally independent. Now, you can start that way, and then from that basis, become independent. And it's not like if you begin by using an LSP that you can't then pivot your setup into being a sovereign solution. You can, but we like the idea that all roads lead to node operatorship, not just because it's our business model. We think it's the healthiest network is the network where every node is independent and unstoppable.
And you can also argue if one really needs to run his own Lightning node, as long as it's just for a couple of bucks, paying the coffee. Here in Holland, we also have like restaurants accepting Bitcoin. And well, if you just want to pay the bill like 10, 20 bucks, then it's also maybe fine to use just a custodial service, obviously.
Yes.
I'm running my own node, by the way. So I love to do it the hardcore way. But
I think it is.
And
look, larger purchases, even meager purchases like 20 euro, 30 euro can be done on chain most of the time.
Yeah.
You're talking about
most of the time. Yeah.
Low fee environments most of the time. And into the future, as the on-chain fees go up and up and up, and we see no reason why they're not just going to go up forever, On-chain payments are going to become increasingly expensive and rare. And so you're going to need these layer 2 solutions, even for low to intermediate, even for intermediate to high purchases, right? You might be buying a sizable purchase over the Lightning Network in the future in order to avoid multi-$100 fees on the main chain. And so for larger purchases, maybe custodianship isn't so good. So right now, given the on-chain fee environment, I think, using a custodian for a few bucks on the Lightning Network is not a big deal. I'm more concerned about the precedent that we're setting and the infrastructure that we're building. Because once you go down that path of convenience at the expense of sovereignty, it kind of gets a life of its own, and we end up building everything on that. So, I'm not totally against it, but it's my job to be the extremist in the room. Like, that's what Start9 represents. We represent the uncompromising, full sovereignty, full privacy way to do things. And I think it's important that remain accessible, even if many other people choose to go the other direction.
But that also means explaining, educate non-Bitcoiners why this is a better way to do it. So that's why I earlier said the word safe, because self-sovereignty is difficult to explain. And saying that it's a safer way to do it, it's an easier word. But I think, maybe that's the biggest hurdle nowadays, because Lightning is a very difficult solution, of course, to grasp, but also to use. Do you think it has a potential to self-sovereign computing to be user-friendly, to the fullest in the future?
I do. Here's why. So from the beginning of Start9 in late 2019, we understood that servers belong in the background. Servers are not something that an average person should need to think about on a normal day. Just like today, people don't think about servers. Maybe they've heard the word, and maybe they realize that their phone and computer is using a server in some way, but they don't understand what a server is, and they definitely don't understand how to own and operate one. And we think that is the future of our model as well. So the way that we envision this evolving years from now, it's going to take some time, is with deep client integrations. So for instance, I would like my Graphene phone to, instead of, how when you set up an iOS device or an Android device, or you set up a MacBook, one of the first things it asks you to do is to sign in to iCloud, or to sign in to your Google account, or to sign in to your Microsoft account.
And give your credit card.
You sign in, you give the credit card. And what this does is it makes your entire client computing experience very convenient, because now I can install a Google app and I don't even need to sign in, because I'm signed in at the device level. And so every app that allows for Google sign-in just works. I don't need to keep signing into the same thing. My Google account is at the root of the client device. So what we envision is a similar experience, but for your own server. And so what I think is going to happen is that servers for both the home and the business of different sizes are going to end up resembling a router, right? The way that people think about routers today. Nobody understands how a router works. Nobody understands what a router even does. They just understand that in order to have internet in their home or business, they need to have this router thing. And so they buy one, or it gets given to them by their ISP, they plug it in, and at most, maybe they change the password or the network name, and that's all they do. Yeah. I think that's how servers are going to be as well. You're basically going to get this device that you need to have. You don't need to know why you need to have it. Just you need this device, you plug it in. And now you go, when you set up your computer or your phone, instead of signing into iCloud or signing into Google, you sign in to your own server. And now you download an app on your phone, say a Bitcoin wallet, okay? And I download that Bitcoin wallet. And the first thing the Bitcoin wallet asks me is, what's your node URL? Where's the address of the Bitcoin node? And I don't have one, but because I'm signed in, right, to my server, the client can actually now administer the server on my behalf without me even needing to touch the server. So the client just says, hey, I noticed you don't have a Bitcoin node. Can I install one for you? And you just say, okay. And now the phone, you've actually given the phone authorization to install and start a Bitcoin node on your server. And now it automatically connects to and uses the node on your server. So we think that we can sort of shove servers to the background again by building tight client integrations and allowing the clients to administer the server.
Yeah, you guys are living in the dream of the future, I think,
Yeah,
Matt.
this
because
is great.
I really like the idea, and I'm struggling to. I mean, I have a NAS in my home and using all kinds of servers, indeed, from big tech companies, and it would be great to have it all just in my own home, so I can make sure it is secure, and I keep my data with me, and not yeah, I mean,
I agree.
also keeping it at big data, right? A big tech. I mean,
Yeah.
But it's a very hard problem to solve because today we don't think about servers because one, they're always working, except every once in a while. Two, we know that the data is not going to get lost, that backups are automatic, that if the internet in my home goes down, my entire computing life is not shut off.
Yeah.
So there's these very difficult problems to solve, but we believe that every one of them can be solved. We think that we can completely rebuild the computing experience to mirror what it currently is, but without trusted third parties or intermediaries. We really think we can replicate the current experience with one exception. There's going to be one thing that we will never, ever be able to replicate that people are going to have to accept if they want this sovereign, independent digital experience. The one thing that they're going to have to accept is that they cannot ever lose their keys or forget their password. That's like the one thing, because if somebody else has your keys, meaning if you can say, oh, I forgot my password, reset it.
You're centralizing it.
Then you've now handed over your entire infrastructure to whoever has that power. So that's the one key, is we have to come up with a bulletproof way for people to generate either private keys or a password or something that they could never lose. It has to be like implanted in them or something, and then we're good.
But
this kind of identity management is so important.
But maybe also in a way, maybe like a multi-sig setup or something, right? That you can just hand over a key to a third party. Might be also your best friend, or might be a service where you pay a fee to. I mean, maybe but it's difficult. It's
the key to everything.
Let's start with the nerds, Matt. Let's start with us, and then we will figure it out how to sell it to my mother and my sister.
And I think, Steph, this is a great title. Never lose your keys. I mean, for us Bitcoiners, it's a no-brainer. But
Collect the build.
Yeah, for the people that aren't Bitcoiners, it's hard to grasp.
It is.
But it's a bright future, Matt, and you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
I have one question left for you, man, and you may choose yourself. We prepared a question from Prashant. He is from BRINGIN. Tony Klaus, he is from Stable Channels, or from Elias Reuer, and he's from Spiral BTC. So, which one will it be?
We'll do the Spiral one.
Trick question.
Yeah.
Spiral. Okay, that's the most difficult one.
Okay.
Hi, Elias from Spiral here. My question is, what is the biggest hindrance for Bolt 12 adoption currently?
The most difficult question, because I don't even fully understand Bolt 12. So I actually don't think I can answer this adequately. I am not, and do not pretend to be an expert on the Lightning Network. So I can't answer the question.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, Bolt 12, I know it ultimately gives me a one-time or a static pay URL, right?
Static invoice.
I mean, from what I know, the hindrance would be client adoption, I guess, to the Bolt. So, sorry, guys.
Let's
Sorry.
ask this question again to some other guests, but I think it's interesting to see it as well. There is an innovation. Bolt 12 is an innovation, and of course, the static invoicing is only one part of it. But I think people are the most difficult to change, and to change the landscape within Lightning from wallets to nodes, it is a difficult thing. So I think every innovation is always coming, but it is at a slow pace. So yeah, well, what is hindering it? Perhaps like you're saying, clients, and I think, well, maybe people are the problem here, that we don't change too
So we had
too fast.
we had people coming in wanting us to update CLN Core Lightning to the latest version because it supports Bolt 12. And so we know it's an in-demand feature, and we did. And so we do support it, at least for Core Lightning, but I think L&D is lagging. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
still.
Yeah.
But it will come.
It will come. Yeah,
It
of
will
course,
come.
of course.
Yeah.
Connect the world.
No, you're right, Matt. But where can people follow you, man? What's your Twitter or the website of Start9? Where can people, because you also sell hardware, right? So where can people go if they are interested?
Yeah, I mean, StartOS is a free and open source operating system licensed under MIT, but we know that not everyone has a computer laying around that they can install it to, or that maybe they would just want to help support the project. So the way that we monetize is we sell devices with StartOS pre-installed, and we warranty them and we provide support for them. And that's our business model. So yeah, if you do want to support us, please buy a device or DIY and give us a shout out or a donation. That's welcome as well. So start9.com is our website. Start9.com/contact is going to be all the different ways you can reach us. We're all, the whole team, myself included, are very approachable and reachable and welcoming and friendly. Awesome. So find us if you want to be a customer, if you want to help, stop by as well. And we're on X at Start9 Labs. We're on Nostr. Just search for Start9. NIP5 verified through start9.com. And
nice.
Of course.
That's it.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. Well, thanks again, Matt. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for elaborating on Start9. And we will follow you, of course, and all the progress you're making with self-sovereign computing, because I think that's a very important subject. And to everybody else, thanks for listening in. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us together. And if you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation, and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sets flowing, and of course, see you all next week at the same Lightning channel. Au revoir, Matt.
See ya, Matt.
See you guys.
See ya.